Yo, what's up, Blackish University? It's your boy B coming at you with another reaction. We're gonna start getting into some more Black Thought, right? Black Thought is just the leader, the man, the lyrical genius. I was thinking about this, and I'm honestly not that familiar with his catalog, right? I've always known Black Thought was the truth. I heard him, especially listening to the Roots, and then seeing him transition to late night TV. And then, of course, he just brought to the world that Funkmaster Flex freestyle, and everybody was like, "Yo, man, I kind of forgot about Black Thought. He's always on the back burner, right? He never gets the recognition he deserves because he wasn't after what you would consider commercial success." But one would argue that, there's always a saying: when you say Black Thought's name, you have to say, "Man, the man never spit a whack verse in his life." We're going to put that theory to the test, and we're going to explore some more of Black Thought's work, and then do his work do our due diligence and do an intellectual, lyrical breakdown, which is really exciting when you're dealing with someone like Black Thought, because he's so talented, but he's also very intelligent. So it's always a test. You're testing your trivia knowledge, but it's also important to research some of these things that we don't understand so that we understand them for the next time, right? That's how we become knowledgeable, and that's how we're able to share information. Without further ado, we're going to check out Black Thought. This is his verse on Wishin 2, and of course I got the lyrics here for you guys. I thought we'll go into some, because there's some really talented artists, specifically Black Thought and Andre 3000, and I realize that sometimes we don't want to hear the whole song. Sometimes we want to hear the breakdown of their verse, especially when it comes to someone like Andre 3000, right? It's like, man, remember his verse on this? Man, that verse was sick. And it's like, oh my God, I gotta wait 3 minutes to get to this part, but let's just get right to it, right? If you're a fan of good music and intellectual lyrical breakdowns, don't forget to not just like the video, but subscribe to the channel so that we can get support as well and keep doing what we're doing. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, the voice of the announcer signing off. Salvador, a connoisseur, a hot monologue, rock monologue, living life not bottle off. And I'm a product of that rock Kim Godalaw. Forensic vibe.
This reminds me of just that old school hip hop, right? Now, there ain't no mumble rap to this. Every lyric, every bar, every sentence has purpose, right? Man, this Black Thought is just honestly one of the greats at just bringing it lyrically. Let's get to what he's saying. He said, the voice of the announcer signing off. Salvador, a connoisseur, a hot monologue. If you know what a connoisseur is like an expert at a particular area, right? A cigar connoisseur can tell you all about cigars. Salvador, it's kind of hard to understand the reference, but I think he's talking about someone that would be considered a connoisseur. It's an actual artist. The artist, I believe his name is Salvador Dali. But I believe he has a quote where he's quoted as talking about wine. And he says, the connoisseur does not drink wine, right? But tastes its secrets. He says something like that. I believe that's the reference. Rachmaninoff, this is a composer. This is someone from Russia, living life not by the law, hot monologue. And I don't know the reference. It's definitely Russian, not by the law. I believe there's actually a story that he used, I believe, his music to say that he needed to travel outside of the country, and that's how he was able to get his family out and transition them. I'm not sure if that's the reference. Let me know in the comments if you can help further break that down. And if he's saying I'm a product, right? A product, you're this way because of this, right? They help make you who you are. Like you're a product of your family environment or of your, he's saying I'm a product of that rock hymn. Everyone understands that understands the origins of hip hop. Somebody who's super lyrical, you can't help if you're of age. You've heard of Rakim, right? But he's also saying I'm a product not just of Rakim, an intellectual, very lyrical hip hop, but also God or Allah, right? Allah would be for Muslims. God normally referred to it from Christians or Catholics. Yo, and I'm really excited to see this. I don't know if he's, you never know. It's like, is he that deep? Is he getting that deep, or are we overreaching? And man, with Black Thought, it's like, nah, he's getting that deep. But look at the next bar. He said forensic files, leaving him disemboweled. When you disembowel someone, you cut them open and you you like gut them like you would a fish, right? So he's saying forensic files, right? Leaving them disemboweled. Like, yo, you're going to need a forensic team the way we fucked this kid up, right? But he says 87 style. Now, at first, my mind goes to thinking of 187, right? When you say a 187, that's a term normally that comes from police. So 187 is a murder, right? But I don't know. There's another urban meaning. Let me know if you've ever heard of the firm. Most people understand things like 69, right? It's a sexual position where you're eating a girl out and she's giving you dome, right? But 87, that's another sexual position. That's actually the sexual act of licking someone's anus, right? The 8 represents the anus and vagina, while the 7 actually represents the tongue. So it's a move, but it would actually make sense because he's talking about disembowel. You think of bowel movements, and then you think of the anus. That's just sick wordplay, and I don't know that a lot of cats are getting that. But let's just run it back and try to understand context too.
Rock mining off, living life not by the law. And I'm a product of that rock Kim God law. Forensic files, leaving them disemboweled. 87 style, they chant slimmer than Reverend Al or Kevin Lyles. Some friends of ours still be pelling vows off 11 now. They wishing you would, you probably better reconcile. The dark side.
Yo, man, it's just nasty with it. And I can always tell when I look at other YouTubers and they're just vibing with their headphones. It's like, why do I want to watch you just watching something? I want to hear a breakdown. I want to hear your interpretation of what's going on, right? And make sure that we're all listening to this apples to apples, that we understand the breakdown. Now, with someone like Black Thought, I can always tell by looking at their face. Now, because you see a great bar and you look at their face and they just got that, what'd he say, bro? What'd he say? Come on, break it. Let me know that you understand. Half these cats don't understand, bro. But he's saying 87 style. He breaks it down, and we'll run it back as well. He said their chances are slimmer. And I'm a product of forensic files, leaving them disemboweled. 87 style. They chant slimmer than Reverend Al Sharpton. That he had that dramatic weight loss, right? He looks like he's aging, but he's very thin. Or Kevin Lyles. Kevin Lyles is, he was in the music industry. If I'm not mistaken, his group is called 300, but he's also had some, he's been involved with, big mainstream artists. But Kevin Lyles is also someone who's very thin, right? And he's saying their chances are slimmer than Reverend Al Sharpton or Kevin Lyles. Just sick. He said some friends are vile, right? Vile, disgusting, right? Or disturbing. They be peddling vials, right? They're selling whatever they need to sell off of 11 Mile. And it's like, you might be asking, what exactly is 11 Mile? That's a stretch of land in Philly, right? If I'm not mistaken. Let me know if you guys know otherwise, but I'm pretty sure it is. Let's run it back here just a few seconds. Bring it back just a few seconds. And, if you're looking for the 11 Mile in Philadelphia, I believe it's called the Greenway. It's just a strip, Riverfront North Partnership. But it's actually a section that you can Google, I'm pretty sure, because, we all know he's from Philly, right? You can hear it in some of his wordplay where he talks about Delphia, but everybody knows he's got that Philly style. For all the cats that know, they know, right? So I'm sure that's a reference there.
That rock Kim God law. Forensic files, leaving them disemboweled. 87 style, they chant slimmer than Reverend Al or Kevin Lyles. Some friends of ours still be pelling vows off 11 Mile. They wishing you would, you probably better reconcile. The dark side of Tahuti rising to prominence. My crown's taller than Suleiman of the Ottomans. Wiser than Solomon, mobilizing and following. They try and give me the Nobel Prize for novelists.
Man, it's so easy to miss bars, right? You hear something easy as Nobel Prize, you go over it, right? He said, listen to what he's saying. He said, some of your friends still be peddling vials right off 11 Mile. And he said, man, they wishing you would. You probably better reconcile, right? You better check. You better check out what's going on, right? Reconcile. You might hear somebody say reconcile the books, right? But he said, look, the dark side of who they're rising in prominence, right? Who are they supporting? If you like certain types of music, they say, man, control where your money's going, control your influence, right? Because if you represent certain artists, you might be representing something that perpetuates the cycle of poverty, the cycle of despair in the black community, right? Think about that. Is it, who are you bringing? Who are you shooting to the top? Who are you making prominent within the hood, right? Um, and he said, yo, speaking of prominence, right? My crown is taller than Suleiman of the Ottomans. A lot of people, if you know anything about history, is normally referred to as Suleiman the Magnificent, right? He's the one that led the Ottoman armies in conquering the Christians. But there's a lot of other things that you can think of. A lot of people would say Suleiman the Magnificent. But what is he known for? Well, look, he starts going into mobilizing, right? And he starts talking, this is like some army military or militant references. And I love that he's saying wiser than Solomon, right? The word of God tells us, and again, religion is not my strong suit, but I love this old trivia. But, he said, who is Solomon? They said that the word of God tells us that Solomon was wiser than all the wise men who existed in his day, right? Supposedly he was given this great wisdom by the Lord. So by him saying wiser than Solomon, he's like, yo, I'm more than what you expected, more than you believe in. Like, yo, I'm the great, whether you know it or not. What's been given to me was given to me from above. Yo, it's just sick, man. He said they try to give me the Nobel Prize for novelist. Let's just let that ride a little bit. Like letting it ride so we can just hear it and understand the context with Black Thought. You don't know if he's referencing just the next bar or if the wordplay is part of a scheme and there's just a much deeper meaning. So sometimes it's good to just let it ride in, 10 seconds or so, and then we'll try to break it down. Go from there.
Wiser than Solomon, mobilizing the following. They try and give me the Nobel Prize for novelists. Peace the cats that rock, mad knowledge is hood astrologists, illegal anesthesiologists. Yo, El Elefante, Belafonte, keep a regiment ready to give them hell in Bronze. Yo, post-traumatic stress, I'm wearing as a family crest. I'm murder at its best.
I think that's a good point to just start breaking it down. I'll run it back a few seconds here just to understand, but let's start from the very top here. Run it back just a little bit, but let's look at the bars here. I don't know exactly what he's saying by, well, here, let's just let it ride.
They try and give me the Nobel Prize for novelists. Peace the cats that rock, mad knowledge is hood astrologists, illegal anesthesiologists. Yo.
If you're an anesthesiologist, you're a doctor, but you're a doctor of anesthesia, right? They provide, let's say, for an oral surgeon, anesthesiologist would be on call or go there to help put somebody under, which is licensed and normally heavily regulated. And he's also talked about hood astrologists, but he said illegal anesthesiologists, right? Those who be selling whatever it is to make you go into the zone. He said, yo, Belafonte. I'd like to play on words, but I don't know what he means by Belafonte. I believe the literal translation of Belafonte is something like fountain, but I think a hairy Belafonte. I don't get the reference. El Elefante just means the elephant in Spanish. He said, keep a regimen ready to give them hell. If P. Rhymes say, right? If you think of somebody getting a regimen, you're normally talking about like a regimen of medicine. It's like your cocktail of medicine, but he could be saying like, yo, I stay ready to give them hell. P. Rhyme, that's the hip hop duo, right? That's Royce the 5'9" with DJ Premier. He said, if P.R. Rhyme say, so yo, if somebody's battling or calls him out his name, he's saying like, yo, I got this shit ready, right? I got a whole regimen of stuff, a whole something lined up, ready to go, right? He said, yo, post-traumatic stress, right? You normally hear of that as PTSD. He said, I wear it as a family crest, right? Our family's been through so much stuff. These traumatic situations have affected us, and they manifest themselves in showing how we deal with police and how we deal with society, right? One could argue that we have PTSD by the conditions that we've been living in as minority people. Yo, that's just sick with it. And I like what he's saying right here. Look what he says. He says, "I murder at its best. Words that'll manifest, causing cardiac arrest, right? A heart attack."
Elefante, Belafonte, keep a regiment ready to give them hell and prime say. Yo, post-traumatic stress, I wear it as a family crest. I murder at its best, words that manifest, causing cardiac arrest, Budapest to Marrakesh, my slang Bangladesh.
From Budapest to Marrakesh, right? And he combined those to say my slang is Bangladesh, but also Bangladesh, the place, right? Marrakesh is in Morocco.
My gang cameras X, I'm life after death. The last never next, letting every other rapper know they better wear a vest. I'm pulling in 200,000 for appearances. I wrote a song about it.
Yo, run that back. I want to catch that 13X.
That's the Marrakesh, my slang Bangladesh. My gang cameras X, I'm life after death. The last never.
Yo, I think what he's referring to is the 5% Nation. It's something that's not, a lot of people don't understand, but I'm pretty sure that's the reference. Normally I hear it as clearance 13X, but it's definitely relevant to who Black Thought is as a person. But the 5% Nation is sometimes referred to as the nation of gods, or the 5%ers. It's a Black nationalist movement. It's inspired by Islam. In fact, I think we actually broke down a speech by Malcolm X when he was just talking about Black nationalism. It's something that was founded in 1964 in Harlem, right? This area in borough in Manhattan, right, New York. But supposedly this is from Allah, the Father, right? They say, who was previously known as Clarence 13X. And before that, he was known as Clarence Edward Smith. Basically, the members of the group, the 5%ers, or Allah's 5%ers, they believe that 10% of the people in the world know the truth about existence, right? And those elites and the people that they work for opt to keep the 85% of the world in ignorance and under their controlling rule, right? So the remaining 5% are those who know the truth, and they're determined to enlighten the 85%. And one would argue that that's something Black Thought has made his purpose, right? When you talk about Black Thought, you talk about someone like Ciroc or Toby Wigway, right? Someone, even someone you would argue like myself, right? Blackish University, modern day griots. Well, what's a griot? It's someone that passes information down from one generation to the next. It was in Africa before they had a written history. That's how they shared information about your family and where you come from or who we are as a people. And it's something that's really missing in the Black community today. Yo, that is sick. I don't know what he's saying. He said, my gang is Clarence X, right? We're this 5% nation. But he's saying, I'm life after death, the last Levine X. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that or who specifically he means by that. Now, where my mind goes, it isn't necessarily how most minds would go, I would say. But I think of, there's somebody who really teaches meditation, and he talks about life after death, and his name is Stephen Levine. But I would only say Levine X. I wonder if he's a part of the movement. I don't really know a lot about him. I only know some of his work. It was called Healing into Life After Death. It's basically they talk about meditation. So I don't know if that's the reference, but I like how he just brings that back together after dropping all that knowledge. He just moves on like it's nothing. He's like, yo, letting every rapper know they better wear a vest. I'm pulling in 200,000 for appearances. Yeah, that's sick. It's big boy play, but it's like, yo, he just dropped so much knowledge. And for those that don't really know about the 5%ers and don't understand 5% Nation, it might be a whole new world opening up for them and information they could research. Man, if that's not trying to enlighten the masses, I don't know what is, right? Run that back.
Yes, I wear it as a family crest. I'm murder at its best. Word that I manifest, causing cardiac arrest. Budapest and Mac arrest. My slang Bangladesh. My gang parents X. I'm life after death. The last never next. And every other rapper know they better wear a vest.
The last living X. Now, did I hear that wrong? I hate when they put together these lyrics, and we're going off it because there's copyright. We can't play just the actual video a lot of times. But sometimes they get the lyrics wrong, and it throws off the context of the different bars. So, no, let's just try to listen to that old school and see, does he say that he's the last living X, referred to as like referring to Clarence X, but also talking about like the death of Malcolm X, right? Let's listen to that. Run that back.
Budapest and Mac arrest. My slang Bangladesh. My gang parents X. I'm life after death. The last never next. Letting every other rapper know they better wear a vest. I'm pulling in 200,000 for appearances. I wrote a song about it. Here it is. Yo, the creature, feature, searcher, preacher, teacher, torch, capture, rupture, rapture, reacher, the preacher, heat, the feature, speak, the ether, smoke, the creature.
Yo, we've been talking about ether, right? Because a lot of people, it's turned into a word, right? Like, yo, that dude got ethered, bro. Yo, that dude got, but a lot of people, they're talking about, their point of reference is the Nas track, the diss track against Jay-Z, right? The ether, the shit that make your soul burn slow, right? It talks about, I'm Biggie, you right? He's Rockefeller died of AIDS. That was the end of his chapter, and that's the guy you chose to name your company after. Put it together. I rock hoes, y'all rock fellas, right? But ether is it's a chemical. It's something that is a pleasant smelling, colorless, volatile liquid, but it's highly flammable. It's used as an anesthetic, which we could go back to what he was saying, right, about an anesthesiologist, but it's sometimes used in industrial processes as well. But man, that's what I mean. He might do something. Who knows if he wanted to tie ether back to the anesthesiologist? But basically, ether is a chemical that can destroy you, right? And that's how ether was using it. Nas was using it as well. He said he'd defeat you, speak the ether, right? That shit that'll kill you from the inside. Sneak then creep you, yo.
Send no peace to meet ya. Can't nobody get with me. Strong suits for ability, chill, humility. What I'm all about, ability, yo. I wish a nigga would bring the hostility, though. You know how the boys from Philly be. I'm like cyanide, keep it through.
See, again, he's talking about these different chemicals, right? Cyanide. Most people know cyanide is how you quickly kill someone, right? It only takes a little bit of cyanide to kill a large amount of people. Listen to what he's saying. He's like, yo, I'm like cyanide. I'm creeping through the air ducts. Yo.
Air ducts, and I got a foul mouth. Telling kids earmuffs when I was in school. I was.
He said, I got a foul mouth. If you remember, what show is that? Maybe it was Old School, right? When the dude's talking, he's about to say curse words. He says earmuffs, and then the kid does this. And then he's like, shit, blunt, kick, fuck, bitch, slut, butt, ass, pussy, dick, butt, okay. And the kid's like, right? So that's what it means. He said, I got a foul mouth. Tell them kids earmuffs, right?
Steer clear up, smoking reefer in the bathroom, sipping Smirnoff. When it came time for the pictures in the yearbook, I was up in Paris like an American werewolf. Years later, yo, I'm an American hero, first evil like Deerhoof. If I let the werewolf, they don't recognize me when I'm shopping up in Bergdorf. They just know I'm fighting in the motherfucking airport. Therefore, they say I'm a sartorial gear whore.
Yo, it's just bringing it so much. I'm gonna jump back up all the way here to cyanide. Let's bring it back.
I was up in Paris like an American werewolf. And I got a foul mouth, telling kids earmuffs. When I was in school, I was in the steer clear up, smoking reefer in the bathroom, sipping Smirnoff. When it came time for the pictures in the yearbook, I was up in Paris like an American werewolf.
Yo, I like what he's saying there. He said, yo, when it came time for pictures, I wasn't even around, bro. I'm traveling the world. I'm up in Paris. And if you know the reference, it's an American Werewolf in Paris. It's a movie.
Years later, yo, I'm an American hero, first evil like Deerhoof.
Deerhorf.
rise up and pass like an American werewolf. Years later, yo, I'm an American hero, verse evil like Deerhoof.
Yo, Deerhoof, that's a group. The group is known worldwide, but they have an album. Their album is called Deerhoof versus Evil. And you see he references, right, he'd say, I'm an American hero versus evil like Deerhoof. Yo, that's just sick. Deerhoof versus Evil, that's the 10th album by this group. It's kind of weird with their music. They basically say that in their world, evil and boredom represent the same thing. So Deerhoof versus Evil, it's talking about triumph over both. So it's actually something you should be able to Google it, and you'll or hear some of their music. I thought there was a Spanish influence there, but and he said, "Yo, I'm an American hero. My verse evil like Deerhoof." He said, I was up in Paris like the bear wolf, right? He's also talking about werewolf, that play on words. I believe when a bear actually, they can wolf, right? Like you would say a dog would, but I believe it's spelled different. So it's just a play on words, right? If I let the bear wolf, but he's also talking about like, kind of like poking the bear, I think, but also making the bear speak, right? The verse be evil like Deerhoof if I let the bear wolf, right? I would imagine he's that big black bear, right? I love what he's saying here, right? He said they don't recognize me. They don't recognize me when I'm shopping up in Bergdorf, right? He's talking about Bergdorf Goodman. If he's looking at Prada, Jimmy Choo, Gucci, right? He's doing upscale shopping, but they don't recognize him because they're not about that life, right? They just know that he's flying in the motherfucking airport. He said, therefore, they say I'm sartorial. I'm a sartorial gear whore. Sartorial, you don't really hear that reference. It normally means clothing, right? It's related to, like, the style that you have. That's basically saying, like, he's a gear whore. Right? That's what he says, right? Like you're a label whore. But sartorial is a little bit different. The way as somebody who's like, it's high-end gear, though, right? It's like tailored suits and, your sock game is on point, right? Just sick with it.
If I let the bear wolf, they don't recognize me when I'm shopping up in Bergdorf. They just know I'm fired in the motherfucking airport. Therefore they say I'm a sartorial gear whore.
Yo, come on now. Yo, just the truth, right? This dude, like they say, Black Thought, never spit a whack verse. If you're a fan of good music, not just a Black Thought, but good music in general, you like the intellectual breakdowns, man, this is that altar call, right? Don't forget to not just like the video, but subscribe to the channel. We're going to be exploring a lot more of Black Thought's catalog and getting into people that are super lyrical at the top of their game, like Black Thought, Ciroc, Tony Wigway. Even exploring newcomers like Tyler, the Creator. Man, the wordplay is just sick, right? And we're going to get into some of the GOATs too, like Nas and even Andre 3000, and highlight some of their best verses and break those down. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel.